So we're going to move over to public markets and talk about the third Bitcoin ETF to launch. VanEck has launched its ETF this week, which was first approved in October. It had some delays, but now it is live on Chicago's CBOE exchange under the ticker XBTF. So we've seen a few of these ETFs launch. They're always like futures contracts because that's what the SEC wants. And there's been a lot of criticism across the board for that. But it hasn't stopped a lot of these firms from issuing these futures contracts because they can still make money. This contract is notable because it has a lower fee than the other ETFs that are public right now, which means that we're starting to see a little competition heat up in the market. 3 brings a little bit more to the table than 2, and definitely just 1. When the first ETF launched, the BITO, that had $1 billion in volume on the first day, which is pretty notable. That was the largest ETF launch ever. I think it had $1 billion over 2 days, rather. So there's lots of demand for a product like this, but there's a lot of criticism also. It's still a futures exchange product and not a spot market product. Naomi, I'm going to throw this down to you. Obviously, it's good to see more competition in the market and to see more products kind of come in line, but it's still pretty disappointing that we have not seen a spot product launch yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising to me. I don't expect one anytime soon because Gary Gensler has made it very clear that, first of all, he doesn't like crypto. Second of all, that he, like, if anything, is going to be vaguely comfortable with a futures ETF and is not really considering a spot one. But maybe his tune will be changed. I'm wondering whether this has kind of turned into a race to the bottom in terms of fees, because, like, if you compare these products, and especially if they're all futures products, what differentiates each of them? I mean, we're going to be looking at liquidity. We're going to be looking at how they're settled. In this case, they're all kind of settled in a similar way. So it's like, it seems like the only thing really differentiating them may be fees at this stage. And I presume ultimately, as liquidity grows, the prices are going to be very similar. So I mean, are we just going to, is the next futures ETF going to come out and they'll be like, we've got an even lower fee, and then it'll just keep coming out like it's kind of an iterative process now, where it's not much is changing with each iteration. So it's interesting to watch. As you said, I'm glad there's more competition in the market. That's always great. But I also agree with you that it would be more interesting to start to see other products out there as well. Hopefully, as Gensler watches this and it's like, oh, this isn't a systemic risk and it's kind of interesting, maybe he will open up. I'm not going to hold my breath though, but Zach, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I mean, more of these things, right? These are not new overseas. Like, there's a lot in Canada. Jen knows Canada. Shout out to Canada. A lot in Canada, a lot in Europe, a lot of exotic ones. So I think we're slowly getting there. But yeah, people are keen on having some exposure to Bitcoin, even if they're not fully comfortable with getting Bitcoin itself. So, whether that's a MicroStrategy stock or all the Bitcoin mining firm stocks or a Bitcoin futures ETF, I think, the public markets are very keen on riding the upside of Bitcoin, even if they're not so sure about that newfangled Bitcoin thing itself. So, I don't know. What's there to say about Bitcoin futures ETF at this point? Now that, like, the race is over and now that there's one in the market, it's not fun anymore, So I guess we'll talk about the spot ETF and see which one sort of wins that race. And we can do the horse race coverage of the Bitcoin spot ETF, because there's a bunch of spot ETF proposals out there. But like Naomi said, I'm not holding my breath on whether or not those are going to be passed anytime soon. But Naomi, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of circle back to what we were talking about with the Constitution DAO. We're talking about this fast-moving world where you get like thousands of people and millions of dollars put together in this decentralized fashion, and you have this time crunch and people are just mobilized and energized and they're innovating and they're getting moving and they're figuring out these new legal concepts and codifying them, and it's really exciting to watch. And then you have on the other side of things this large behemoth, this slow-moving bureaucratic lump. It's the largest economy in the world. They're becoming more and more slow moving. I mean, it makes me really look at the future of the United States and wonder how much longer they can maintain their position as this largest, most prosperous country. Largest economy in the world. I won't say most prosperous country, but definitely largest economy in the world, because it seems that they move so slowly with these things. They're so averse to innovation. We already mentioned Canada and other countries. You've got so many exciting products going up there that are innovating dealing with all this stuff. And the United States is not having a bar of it. So I don't know how much longer they can keep holding that title and how much longer they're going to stay strong. Because if the future is this decentralized world, which I think we're all kind of betting on, especially just seeing a boom in innovation, we're not riding that innovation right now. So we're missing out on a giant wave. But I'm going to throw this back to you, Will.
Yeah, the solution is obvious. We should become a DAO, just as these United DAOs. It makes a lot more sense.
So great.
Just fix all the doomsday predictions. It'd be
on-chain
fantastic.
voting.
No, on-chain voting for everybody. Just to go back to Zach's point, like the ETF story might be getting a little boring, but it really is the gift that keeps on giving, because crypto people love nothing more than beating up on regulators, and we can just keep doing that every time there's a new ETF launch. Be like,
that's
true. Come on, Gary, get your stuff together. Cue Naomi, cue show, and we're perfect.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.